Hello. Today I'd like to show you an exciting red app called QBotic Pro. Now, QBotic Pro automatically reissues tickets that have been changed by the airline, so we call these involuntary reissues. So when the airline has a schedule change and now you have to reissue the ticket, it's an even exchange, and there's usually no fees or penalties or anything like that. The airline typically gives you some sort of authority to do this exchange, but it's complicated in Sabre. You have to check your details in the itinerary, your details in the ETR. You have to build a Phase 4 properly, copy all the details the correct way, and then do each exchange. And of course, you have to do them one by one. So it can be quite challenging to do these, and of course it is time consuming. So I think you will be very surprised to see how easy this is with something like QBotic Pro. So notice the screen that I have. This is QBotic revalidation and reissue, and there's some check boxes here where you get to decide what features you want it to use, and typically once you set these they don't change, so they'll come back each time as they have now. So this particular one, we will allow partial reissues, although I don't think we actually have any today. This BSP that we're working in does require baggage allowance. We will add some local, logging remarks to the PNR, so it's easy to see what QBotic did. We will display error messages on the screen in case we get them, and then we'll also be sending email to the customer, both if we revalidate or if we reissue. And then sometimes if the airline has already revalidated and all the details match, well, then it will go ahead and send an email to the customer in that case as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is actually first show you the first one so you kind of get a sense of what QBotic's doing, but then we'll run the next ones in what we call robotic mode. And so I'll click continue here. So this is called assist mode right now. So this is perhaps an individual ticketing agent might use this. They would use assist mode perhaps when they've had rejects in robotic mode, little things that they might need to fix or add. And then also each individual agent can use this if they want to do some point-to-point ticket reissues. All right, so the first thing is we're just looking at if there are any QBotic remarks in the PNR, and we'll go ahead and enter through that. So you see on this screen, we have 3 tickets in this PNR, and this is the assist mode, remember. So we are telling it which tickets to reissue and what segments, but in the robotic mode, we won't have to tell it that. But I just wanted to show you this first so that you kind of get a sense for what QBotic is doing. Now, it's going to be the same for the other passengers, so I can say apply those same segments for the other tickets, and then I say finished selecting, and then away we go. Now, the first thing that will happen is it will actually try to revalidate because this carrier does support that. But the first couple of segments will succeed, but then the next ones won't. And the reason is that it's a different carrier. And so they don't support, cross-carrier revalidation. But it still attempts, and then once it fails, it moves into the reissue process. It checks the configuration. It starts to build the Phase 4. Now here you see all the Phase 4 entries going in very nicely, and then the ticket is reissued, just like that. So that was the first passenger. Now when it's finished with the first passenger, it then goes on to the second passenger. So you'll see that here coming up. And of course, this is all automatic and quite painless. Now, the beauty of QBotic is that it is able to properly match the original coupon details to the new segments, even when the amount of segments may have changed, that the original was perhaps a through flight, now the new one is a connection. Maybe even the original was 2 flights and the new one is 3, something like that. QBotic is able to figure those things out and make sure that each segment has the right coupon details, the right fare basis. It also pulls over the tour code, the endorsement, and all of these details. So those new tickets are recreated exactly the way the old tickets were. And this will cut down on your errors, and it should cut down on your debit memos or ADMs as well, because you are getting the right information on the tickets. At the airline level, you can also configure the little bit of extra endorsement text that the airline wants you to add when you do these involuntary reissues. You can also configure things like mandatory waiver code, for example. So that PNR is done. All 3 of those passengers have been reissued, and I could perhaps even show you that, but maybe we'll go back in a little bit and take a look. So now we're going to show you what it looks like in robotic mode, and this is much more exciting because you don't have to do anything. So as long as you're reissuing all the segments against all the tickets with open coupons, then you can use robotic mode. And so you'll notice that it just automatically accessed the queue, pulled up the PNR, and it goes right in and starts the revalidation reissue process and assesses all the original details from the ETR exactly as we did last time. Checks for the configuration for Thai Airways. We did revalidate successfully, so we may see a successful revalidation on this one since all the segments are. Nope, we got an unable on that one. So we will shift into the reissue process now, and you'll see that, here's something interesting. So QBotic knows how many characters, the maximum number of characters that are allowed in the endorsement. And in this particular case, the original endorsement plus the additional text that the airline would like to add for the reissue, the involuntary reissue, makes it too long. And when you're in robotic mode, well, QBotic says, okay, I don't have a human working with me, and you probably wouldn't have the error message come on the screen either. You'll just have it sent to the reject queue. And so that's what it will do. So let me show you how you will handle things like that. So I'll actually run this particular PNR in assist mode, and you'll see how you can very easily deal with problems like this. So I'm going to run in assist mode, which means I'll uncheck the box for robotic mode. And so that same PNR on Thai Airways will come up. And what I'm going to do then is tell it which segments. There is only one passenger here, so I just check that box. I say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I say finished. All right, now what's going to happen now is it's going to go through the exact same process that it did in robotic mode, but this time, because I'm in assist mode, it knows it's working with a human, an agent, and it's going to very politely stop when it comes to the endorsement and say, your endorsement text is too long. It will say how much too long it is. It'll show you the original endorsement text as well as the configured additional text for the reissue and allow the agent to make the adjustment. So see the screen here? See how nicely convenient this is? And it says we've only allowed 58. We have 64, so we need to make some changes. Well, typically what will happen is they'll start to just remove some of the spaces here, and because, the carrier knows that there's not really room for all the pleasant punctuation and such. All right, so we'll do that, and I think that's enough, but if it isn't, it will complain and tell us again, no, it was fine. So now we have room for the entire endorsement that is required, and you can see the endorsement went in right there, and it issued that ticket. So we think that this is an absolutely phenomenal application, particularly for you that are selling a lot of leisure tickets because you have a larger lead time, and so consequently there's more opportunity for schedule changes, and thus you have to reissue more often. But even in a corporate environment, you still have reissues that are needed. And every single reissue that you do costs you 4 or 5 minutes per ticket with usually some of your most experienced agents, if not dedicated ticketing agents. And this application will literally save hours and hours and hours of their time. And that's money right to your bottom line because these are not things you can typically charge fees for. So this is simply an expense that cuts into your profit. So by using QBotic Pro, you can reduce the time necessary literally down to just a few seconds. Many agencies use QBotic Pro to run in QBotic mode on a queue. They tell the agents, look, when you're ready for the reissue, just throw it on the queue. And then if there is a problem with the endorsements or something like that, well, it just puts it over on the reject queue, and then you can have a look at those. But by all means, please read the reviews that you see in the Sabre Red App Center because they are absolutely glowing, and we know that you'll be very happy too. So probably your last question is how much does it cost? Well, it has to be affordable, and we're prepared to offer some special pricing for smaller agencies throughout the world. Smaller agents may wish to take advantage of our pay-as-you-go plan, so you pay just $2 USD per reissue. And when you think about the time that it takes to do these, that's a usually a big savings that should represent about an 80% savings in the cost of getting these done. For larger agencies, we do have other payment plans. We're happy to discuss that with you. So I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you.